Welcome everyone to Big Chill Chat. I am your host, God Slayer. Today we're going to be going over While Gothic Sleeps, the new quest that was ported from RS3 to OSRS. So if you're not familiar, it was in RS3, which was kind of nice because day one you could kind of use some of the old guides that were kind of similar. We're going to go over that, some of the drop rates, my view on the Tormented Demons, and just kind of everything with that quest. That was kind of the last major release in the game. Also talking about some of the new items that were released because of While Gothic Sleeps. I haven't really used them yet, but I've definitely seen a lot of videos on them. People that have used them. I wasn't going to spend that money on those items day one. It just absolutely made no sense. So, good morning, AO Slayer. Welcome to the podcast today, buddy. Any point in time you want to talk, feel free to jump on stage, raise your hands. I'm cool with that. So I'm still on my TOA 2 Shadow grind. I did stop, obviously, to do the quest. Now, what I was saying before, it was originally done in RS3. I remember this quest from way back when, and it used to have the iconic Dragon Claws drop. Now, obviously, it was pulled in RS3 to have Dragon Claws drop there or not, and obviously that didn't pass, so they came up with Bone Claws. Now, Bone Claws are supposed to be kind of your in between DDS and Dragon Claws, which is awesome. I think that's awesome that they put a new spec weapon there. It's not as strong as Dragon Claws, but it's definitely something that's viable. Now, here's the problem with that. These Tormented Demons, I'm going to kind of go right into this because I started killing them day one. Obviously, they're packed. People are fighting over Tormented Demons and whatnot. But the problem is, the drop rate for the Bone Claws is absolutely awful. I mean, if you're looking at a weapon that's between the two, right, and you're even as an Iron Man, looking at some of the math for some of the higher, max out gear and everything like that, roughly 43 hours for Bone Claws. That's awful. I mean, really, if we're thinking about it, I could understand if Tormented Demons had a better drop table, but they absolutely don't. I think I did 40 something kills in there day one, and I didn't get anything. I mean, taking out the ashes that you get from each kill, so unless you're actually taking those ashes and making them, you're making nothing. I think I made 200k there in hours. So that was awful. The Synapsis, I believe, is still sitting at 60 something mil, which is what is used to make the 3 new weapons. Now the bow seems pretty interesting. I don't know if anyone else has seen this, but the bow has been used at Zami, and it actually freezes Krill. Krill can't attack you pretty much whatsoever. So you're just kind of chilling back there with range, and the whole time just attacking Krill and not getting hit. So I think that's really cool. I didn't see too much about the sword or the staff. I've seen a few people use it. Someone had the staff actually in the TOA lobby. I don't know if they were using it for TOA or what, but I think that's pretty cool. It'd be really cool if it had a use in some part of TOA, but I don't think it does. But the bow itself, I think, is one of the cooler things. The sword, obviously, is just a better arc light, and I believe the drop rate for that though is even higher than the Bone Claws. So for the Synapsis is I don't know. I want to say it was 50, 60 hours, which is honestly terrible, especially for just upgrading some of those items. Yeah, the bow is really cool, but at the same point, 60 hours for something like that when you could go do, a raid and make double that in that amount of time, even triple that. So you can go to next and make a lot more than that. So it's kind of like, yeah, I get that this isn't like this is a mob that you can just continuously kill and they don't want it botted, but at the same time, it's also behind a Grandmaster quest. So, but because of that, Jagex did do an announcement in one of their pages, and I'm going to bring that up now. So this is the feedback that they actually got from All Gothic Sleeps, the Tormented Demons, and everything like that. So it's really cool that they're still doing this, that they're still really paying attention to the community, because it's honestly needed, especially in cases like this. So the loot tables they're looking into. So they admitted that, they heard us loud and clear. Tormented Demon loot tables will need some work, which they definitely do. I mean, the fact of the matter is, you could go do, the zombie pirates out in the wild and make double the GPU per hour is terrible. So they're looking at the loot tables, all the mechanics there. Yeah, they definitely need big work. Slayer, like, that's just. So we'll see what they do. We'll be doing a balance pass on the quest. They want to make sure, obviously, it stacks up to Dragon Slayer 2, Monkey Madness 2, and everything like that for, like, GP per hour, I imagine. Because, like, Vorkath is a lot more than Tormented Demons. So, another thing, they're renaming Bone Claws to Burning Claws, which I think sounds a hell of a lot cooler. They're going to add a teleport item to take you to the Gothic's temple, which, that's awesome. They really need to. I mean, it's not super long, but it's definitely quite a hike to get down to the Tormented Demons, because you're either using Tears of Gothic's teleport to get there, which, yeah, but then you also have to bring your sapphire lantern and go down the pit and then travel all the way back up. It'd be really nice to have it where you could spawn right outside of the temple. Adding a UI icon inside the temple to show you how many demons you can tackle at once. Because there's a spot inside the temple. I don't know if anyone saw my video on YouTube, but if you're looking at the temple itself, if you go further south into the temple, there's a spot where you can actually be attacked by multiple. It's a multi-zone for the Tormented Demons. And beyond next week. So those of you who have done the quest, you get this little Bravo, which is like a little pig type thing, which you use to track down, like, kind of where the temple, like, before you get to the temple, but the one secret hideout. It's honestly, I thought it was really cool. I still have mine in my bank, so they're going to kind of allow you to store it in your home. It's not going to be a full pet, which, I mean, it makes sense because everyone has it, right? There's no rarity around that. The next one, temporary boost crafting requirements of new items. So that's really cool. If you're not able to craft the new items, you can boost up to do so. Honestly, I can't even remember what the requirements are to craft them. I'll have to look that up. I'm pretty sure I have it, so. allow players to store the Dark Squall and the Elite Black Armor, which honestly, those both of those armor sets were really cool. I don't know. I can bring those up real quick. I don't know if you can still see this or not. Can you still see this, Ayo? Okay. So yeah, there's your Dark Squall, which honestly I really liked that rope set. It actually looked really cool. I kind of wish it actually had some like stats with it. Because obviously it's Grandmaster and everything like that, so it's you're most likely gonna have something that's way better than this. But it's really cool that you can start in your POH, and then the Black Elite armor was honestly I think is really awesome for Fashionscape. Um, really terrible bonuses. There's really none, so it's kind of funny that it's the Elite armor, but yeah, whatever. I mean, there's some. Yeah, I loved Black Elite armor back in the day. I really wish they actually had like. Is it the same as Rune? Let's look. Where down here? Maybe I have to do the whole set. Let's do the whole set. It's definitely not the same as Rune. Totals are like 80s in here and 200s here. Oh, that's true. There is no Elite Shield, but even if you were to take that off, you're still looking at 160s versus 80. I would be awesome if it had better stats. Because, I mean, that's definitely Fashionscape right there. Go do my Slayer tasks and those. So you're still going to be able to store those. Now, the Emberlight is the new sword, and it looks like they're having problems with the clue step, allowing you to where you have to use the arc light. So instead, you can use the Emberlight, which yeah, that makes sense. I wonder who ran into that because I haven't seen that yet. Lucian stuff. I mean, honestly, it was really cool. The one part of the quest, a little bit of a spoiler alert here. So if you haven't done it, tune me out or whatever. But the part of the quest when you're actually in the wild and you are like discovering what Lucian's doing out in the wild, and he just like, kills everyone. That was really, I mean, really cool part, but also like really awful part. And I don't know if you saw, like, they replaced a few of the Slayer Masters and everything like that with different people because of that. Same with Gamel. Gamel's now replaced with a little gnome, which I thought was, I don't know. The weird part about that, the part that I hated with that, is the fact that when those characters died, like with Neve and everything like that, obviously like Steve came, kind of had like a backstory with that. There's no like talking points with the new person. Like I'm gonna bring that up just so that way everyone can see that. But like you can't even they don't even explain why they're there instead of the last person. I mean, they did that with Monkey Madness too, so kind of wish they would have done a little bit more dialogue with that. Gonna get rid of these. But yeah, so While Gothic Sleeps is out. It's not a terrible quest. I don't know if it's out on the Quest Helper yet, but there should be a wiki guide now at this point. And even if not, it's pretty similar to the old RS3 quest. I finished it within a few hours. It wasn't terrible. You know, like, if you get a chance to do the quest, it's awesome. I'm actually going to bring up something here, and I'm going to get rid of this. What do you guys think? Did you guys do the new quests, or what were your opinions on it? I love the quest itself. It was a really sweet quest. Yeah, if you get a chance, I would definitely do the quest. Like, the quest line was definitely interesting. I definitely kind of skipped through it as well, you know, as fast as I could. Just because, let's be honest, day one material. Oh, you forgot to do the pre-recs for the quest? Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, you can't do the quests. Alright. So, here's what I'm gonna bring up. Just make a main just to do it. Give me a second, I'm gonna share my screen again. Alright, so I'm gonna share. Obviously, I did some of the Tormented Demons. You can see right here, did 38 kills. This is like day one. Your best like drops really are like the soul runes. Other than that, this is just garbage. This was kind of cool to see. This, it was, I can't remember what it's called. Smoldering pile of flesh. You actually get that when you're there, and you can eat off of it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, well, that's 151k, which isn't terrible for when I was down there, but like at the same time, it's really not worth it when I can go do, in the same amount of time it took to do these kills, I could have done pretty close to the same amount of kills at Vorkath, or, you know, completed a full TOA, or, you know what I mean? So this is endgame stuff. Endgame stuff should definitely be worth way more than that. So I mean, it's really not. It really could be a lot better. Let me just also pause my stream here real quick. There we are. So I wanted to bring this up because in here you can actually see, I don't know if anyone else has done anything with the arc light, but you can, when you're using it and everything like that, now you also get an infusion percentage. So like right now I have 4,697 charges with at 77% infused. So like, that's another way to make the Ember Light. I believe you still need the synopsis, but if we're looking at those now, remember these are going to be changed to burning claws here, but these are the bone claws. They're 43 mil right now, which isn't terrible. It'd be great to get the drop, but obviously, like, 43 hours for 43 mil, that's only 1 mil an hour. I mean, that's kind of bad. And then that's it if you even get them. This is a synopsis, 69 mil still, so I mean that's not terrible either. But that's how you make the different items. Crafting, I don't even know what crafting level you need for these. I didn't even see them in here. You'd think they would be in here, but I didn't see them anywheres. Did anyone see where they put the crafting stuff? Is it in smithing somewheres? Oh, let's see. Ember Light is here, 74. But I didn't see anything else with any of the other new ones. Am I looking at this wrong? Just trying to look this up. Let's see. How to make a scorching bow. Let's see if there's any answers. Talk to Duracell's replacement. So you just have to talk to the replacement? Well, that's what I was thinking too. Let's look. Other. No, hunter spears, bows, maybe? Scorching bow, yep. So then what's the magic one? Because you think the magic one would be underneath crafting because that's where you do all of your different... Oh, there it is. Purging staff. Yep, 74. So it looks like 74 for each one of them, which I don't think is really terrible to get skill-wise to make these new items. Oh yeah, the claws look terrible. I mean, honestly, like I've been looking at the claws, everything like that. I mean, what are the requirements to use the claws? So 60. So it's the same as dragon. So at least that's kind of cool. But like, yeah, scorching bow is 77. So that's another thing that I find kind of weird that when they do some of these releases and stuff like that. Why is that 17 levels higher than? You know what I mean? What's don't go out of TOA, please. What's the so arc light, where's the ember light? It's 77 as well. So okay, they must have done all the synopsis ones 77. Equipment. So weapons 77 for the purging staff with 50 attack. Honestly, it's really cool that they all have their own little unique thing. And like, let me bring that up again. Get into these real quick. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing too. I'm going to give it a month or two, you know what I mean, to see if they stabilize. Alright, so here's the Scorching Bow. This is what everyone was saying is great for Krill. So, it shackles, which drains 25% of the special energy. And it binds a demonic creature for 20 game ticks, which is 12 seconds. So pretty much, you're seriously like, if you bring a light bearer, you're pretty much set to continue to just stop Krill from moving whatsoever. I mean, Krill can't move every single time. It doesn't even matter if you hit, from what I understand. If you use a special attack, it's done. It's sitting right there. It's not moving. Like, Krill is done for. You're just getting free DPS at that point. Yes, you do. You do need to complete the quest to get to use it. Um, Purging Staff. I haven't read too much about this one. It requires to be an Arceus. That's actually really cool. So you get a refunded. I mean, that's kind of cool, but you have to be an Arceus spout, which is whatever. And Emberlight, which I think is awesome. It's just your upgraded Arclight. Like, I believe you can use the Synapsis on the Arclight whenever and make the Emberlight whenever. Like, you don't have to get the infusion on it. You have to have 7,000 charges. It's 30% infusion. So you just have to have 100% between charges and infusion. And I think the max charges, if I remember, like Arclight was 10,000. So like at that point, I think if you have a full Arclight, yep, or has to be fully infused before you can use the Synapsis on it, and then you can get your Emberlight. So as long as you actually had all the charges in there, you'd be great. That's it for While Gothic Sleeps. Honestly, the rest of today, I just kind of wanted to see if anyone had any questions. Also, has anyone noticed that the servers have been kind of awful lately? I've DC'd in TOA like 4 or 5 times in the past like week, and completely died in the middle of TOA, which is like, I don't like dying in TOA. It's even worse when you're like halfway or almost all the way done with the raid and you DC. Yeah, it's like, it's terrible. It's been like one after the other. If anyone wants to come up on stage, raise your hand and I can bring you up too if anyone wants to talk for a little bit. Before I finish and wrap up the podcast episode. Yeah. No, I've had what's up,
There it is.
Unrivaled? How's it going, buddy?
Wait, I think it's working. I don't even know how to work this thing. I'm doing it on my phone right now. What I was trying to say is that Scorching Bow is the best.
Oh yeah, so Scorching Bow, from what I understand, you
Yeah,
pretty much perma freeze Krill.
I won't put on speakerphone. Yeah, the Scorching Bow is the best, dude. I mean, it's for anybody who does Krill, Zami boss in God Wars Dungeon. It just made that boss easy mode.
Oh
Because it's
yeah.
like no more 5-0, 8-0, 9-0 methods. It's stand in the corner, shoot that bow, snare him with the special attack, which only requires 25%.
Yeah, and if
It's
you
got,
wear,
what is it, 30% damage and accuracy on demons. And you can just sit there with a light bearer, just like, I get to do nothing now.
yeah, because it's 12 seconds, and with the light bearer, you're gonna have your special attack back. Like, it's that 25%. It's gonna
Right.
be all refilled by then.
That just put that boss on easy mode 100%. I thought they were going to nerf it, but I think given it's so niche, it doesn't require a nerf because like it's not like it can be used everywhere.
No.
So it's that niche power creep Jagex really loves to pride themselves on of like, we're going to make something really powerful that even overpowers a mega rare, but is only going to be used in like 1 or 2 spots in the entire game for anybody who can afford this thing.
Well, yeah, honestly, let's think about it. That's the only place I think you can actually use it, besides for Tormented Demons, where it's going to be
Yes.
useful.
Yeah, like Ember Light's really good if you're like farming Cerberus or like Sire or even Duke.
Duke, yep.
I do well. It's good and bad because Duke's in Rage Phase. He becomes 4 tick instead of 5 tick, so
Yep.
you can stay in cycle with his attacks, which is quite nice. Um, I'm sure Iron Men are like jumping with joy that they don't have to worry about charging. They don't have to worry about farming ancient shards anymore after they make it. And they have something really, really, really good for the bosses that they're trying to get gear from. As far as a main goes, I mean, now at this point, I think it just defeats the purpose of like Scythe being used at Cerberus because you're attacking faster. I haven't run the calcs on it, but I'm sure it is pretty good considering if you had to buy a Scythe versus, it's too expensive to use. If you're like my log and you're 1,000 KC with no prim, you're not going to want to use Scythe there because you're like, well, how? By the time I make any money on this boss, I've spent this much using max gear.
Yeah, I mean, the Scythe obviously is still going to be top dog at Cerberus, right? I mean, honestly, I didn't use Scythe at Cerberus. I've used a T-bow there, and that slaps really hard too.
Yes.
So, like, you have plenty of options at a lot of these bosses. Like, even with Duke, you can use a Scythe there just as well as using the Emberlight there, right? It's actually still probably a little bit better. So, they didn't, do a power creep on any of the weapons, which I think is really cool. And like you said, the bow is so niche that it's not going to make a difference in the game.
It's not game breaking, which is really what Jagex really has to which is is I'm sure one of the biggest concerns when it's like, okay, new quest equals additional content. Oh, a new monster in the game that has a rare drop table. Maybe we should make something that's powerful only against this part of the game.
Yep.
It also took Greater Demon task as like it's not a crap task anymore because now you got options. It's like okay, I don't have any Dark Totems for Scotizo because Scotizo counts as Greater Demon or Black Demon. I don't feel like doing Krill. Oh, I could kill Tormented Demons, and their drops are more expensive than any of the Zami boss drops by a good bit right now. Those synapses are what, 55 mil or something like that? Between 60 and 70 mil right now.
They're 69 mil, and the Bone Claws are sitting at 43. The problem with that, though, right now with the loot tables, I will say Tormented Demons need a strict buff, at least on the normal drops, because even if I
believe they were talking about that. I want to say in the next couple of weeks. They were talking about buffing the base loot.
Yep. So they're I actually showed it a little bit earlier in the episode. They're talking about next week updating the loot tables. So because if you look at it currently, if you were to spend 43 hours, which is the bare minimum to like pretty much be on drop rate for the Bone Claws at Tormented versus doing...
You said 43 hours?
43. So if you were looking at that compared to doing 43 hours of Zami, you're going to be better off doing Zami at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can get absolute spoon there. And what Zami hilts are now, I think they're around 30 mil now. I remember when they were worth like 9.
Yeah.
And now that boss is like actually worth doing.
Yep.
I was like, I'm no longer skipping that boss anymore. And yeah, plus, I mean, yeah, that I don't have any of the new Demon Bane weapons yet because they're like really niche for me. So it's like,
yeah, I didn't buy any of them either. I was like, day one, I was kind of thinking about it just so I could do a test run on each, but I didn't see the point of doing it. I will at some point.
Yeah, no.
And probably make a video on it, but like it's not.
If I got like a massive split on something, like because I've been running chambers, if I got like another T-bow split, probably. But other than that, I'm not going to come out of pocket on supply money to buy something I have to wait to use that's not used in the content that I'm doing right now. unless I want to deviate from that content and been like, oh, well, I got a greater demon task. I'll go spend all this money on a scorching bow, and this thing is only going to get used for that. It's, yeah, I mean, I can see, but like I said, that's that niche best in slot stuff, kind of like the Dragon Hunter equipment. It's like, it's okay everywhere else, but against bosses like Vorkath or Ohm is where it's actually, or Hydra is where it's actually powerful. But it's like kind of meh. It falls short of like other weapons like Tentacle or something because of like the base stats aren't that good. It only gets its power from when you're fighting something that's considered a dragon. It's kind of one of those situations. Oh.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Sorry, I was just reading a few things.
Okay.
Honestly, I mean, I'm kind of glad with what they did for this last like Grandmaster quest. They really took the whole, obviously, like Dragon Claws were the thing that was talked about the most because they were dropped by the Tormented Demons before, right?
Yes. Initially, yes, they were. I
Yep.
remember them saying something
RS3.
about. Yeah, I remember Jagex saying something about that they were going to remove Dragon Claws from the Chamber's loot table and redistribute back to the Tormented Demons, essentially.
Yep, that was
But
their
it looks
original
like
plan.
that happened. Yeah, because they claim that just Chambers has too many uniques, which I can see what they're saying. There are quite a bit of uniques out of Chambers. You have Elder, if you were to predate Elder Maul actually being useful, you had 3 mega rares. Of course, everybody wants the T-Bow. Every single piece of Ancestral, Twisted Buckler, Niche Din's Bulwark, and then obviously your Rigor and Augury Scrolls, and then it's just like Dragon Claws is there. So I just felt like Dragon Claws were, at least at the time for when the raid came out, they were just like, well, we need a place for this to drop from, so it's like, here you go.
I mean, it works good. I'm glad they kept it and like they listened to the player base when they're like, no, don't change this. And they made a good call with the synopsis and the bone claws. Like, I think that was a very good trade off. So I'm excited to see what they do with the next like boss, which is going to be, I believe, in Valimor, and that's going to be the Draconic boss there. That's going to kind of be like a team based boss.
Yes, it's going to be like a war. I would say probably like a world boss, like Nightmare or Nex.
Yeah.
From what I gathered from the information released on it, I heard there was going to be a dragonkin like wand type of deal that would be best in slot magic against dragons. I think that would be really cool to see, because if that becomes more powerful than, let's say, Tunic Shadow in Ulm, that would be pretty.
See, well, they got to be.
I guess because they feel like, oh, there's too many uses for mega rares, but it's like
they got to be careful with that, because if you distribute too much power to non-mega rare weapons, those mega rares are going to lose their value. Like, it's going to be terrible.
I kind of it makes me chuckle when they like release like niche power creep items, and I'm like, you have mega rares in the game that people literally do entire account rebuilds for, but you want to release more items on desirable content that outperforms the item that requires an account rebuild essentially to buy. It's kind of like it. I can see from a rebuild account standpoint that would piss me off. That it's like, I just spent billions of gold getting best in slot gear in one combat style, and I'm rocking, extremely budget gear on everything else until I get some money together. And then you release this weird item that's got a very low drop rate that takes tens of hours to get, provided to be even on drop rate. And now it outperforms what I've spent countless amounts of hours to get. So I understand from a person who actually plays the game, understands.
Yeah, I'm personally, like, for me, if they were to bring something out that completely destroyed the shadow like value, I'm going to
Pretty bad.
be pretty upset. I've just
I
spent like 500 experts still trying to get the shadow. So
yeah, it took me. I'm just under 500 solos, but it took me 48 projected purples, which is double what they. I think it's 1 in 24, and I was running solo raids above 400 up to a Fang Kit 500 level. So I mean, I was like, I got my shadow during the last Christmas. So I mean, it's like, mind you, and I was doing TOA day one. So it took what, almost 2 years to get an item that I was extremely well over drop rate for, like well over even the KC that would be projected at that invocation level of what I should see in terms of loot, in terms of unique loot. So it's like, man, I would hate to have to grind for something on a boss I may or may not like just to get it, or have to spend potentially, because when the item comes out, it already has a price point where it's like it might sell for 500 million gold when it comes out, or you might get lucky it only sells for 100 mil, depending on how rich, how wealthy your account is.
right,
Um,
but I
but
mean, I'm definitely interested to see what comes out in the next few releases. But I know I have faith in Jagex to really take in
I'd like a
consideration.
timeline for the new spider boss, which I
Yeah, there hasn't been too. I mean, they're still developing a lot of that stuff. So I mean, obviously, we'll definitely see more here shortly.
I guess I'm bored of another spider boss. We already have Spindle and Venenatus. So it's
Yeah,
like another spider boss from
it's
recycled from RS3.
yep. I was gonna say it's a port from RS3, so it makes sense because they've got a lot of positive feedback for that in RS3. So I can understand trying to keep something like that. But
Well, they also got a lot of positive feedback from us because of the best in slot amulet they're pushing, that's going to replace Torture, that is going to try to override Blood Fury, potentially override Blood Fury, and uh, they made it a reasonable crafting level at 86 to make it. So, which they'll probably make it boostable as well to 86 for
yeah,
players that don't have it.
I think
Um,
it's gonna be a really good it's gonna be a really good balance because Blood Fury is still gonna keep its value because if you think about it, Blood Fury is a great in a lot of places, especially raids,
Well,
Nightmare
and that's
stuff like that.
and that I think that was the point of Rancor, was that Blood Fury was just like completely replaced Torture because like the
Yep,
sustainability. But
yep,
now because they did a mass Vire bot ban, Blood Shard shot up to like 13 mil. So now the cost per Blood Fury cast is extremely expensive.
oh yeah,
So now it's like, now it's kind of like, is it really worth it? I don't really use it. Me personally, I don't use it. Only because of like when it's not really, I guess, because like in chambers, it's not needed. Even in challenge modes, it's not needed. I can see if you were soloing content, that would be like, okay, I'm going to solo CMs. Yes. I see where it has its uses, but you're not using it in a trio raid. The raids go by too fast. You have too many supplies. It's just not needed.
yep. But we'll see.
Which,
We'll see. I am gonna have to end this episode here though because I've got some things to do today. I've also got to record another little YouTube video here later today, but I've got to
right,
get going here soon. So
I guess I'd like to end on maybe, I don't know if this is in the cards, but I know Jagex is like, I don't remember, but remember the Project Rebalance post for Inquisitor's armor. I don't know. They don't. I don't know exactly where they post it, but they never really talked about if they approved or they implemented the Inquisitor's Mace buff to where Inquisitors works like Crystal Armor with Bofa, to where instead of the entire set being 2.5%, it was 2.5% per piece for a total of 7.5% damage and accuracy, but only with the Inquisitor's Mace.
I think they did do that already.
The only thing is that it has the defense of adamant armor, and there's no upgrade. It's not like Masori you can fortify to get the defense, where we already know their trend is like take an existing piece of armor like Bandos, for example, break it down, recycle it into Torva, how they took the Armadillo and recycled it to fortify the Masori. Well, they could easily take like Justiciar, which I feel is like almost useless. It's great for like Rune Dragon ults and like if you decide to like tank Bandos for a couple mil an hour, but other than that, it's relatively useless. It's not used anywhere in high level PVM, at least in orthodox methods. Like obviously, if you want to be the guy who decides to like face tank Inferno and not actually learn how the Inferno is played, and you're going to rely on high range defense and RNG to brute force your way through waves 1 through 66, sure, but you don't really learn anything.
I hear you, man. But yeah, I really got to get going, buddy. So
all right.
Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Big Chill Chat. And
Anytime.
Yeah, you're welcome to come back anytime. We'll have more audience coming up to talk. I like doing this. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, peace
Alrighty.
out.